I'm almost at 30,000 miles. I think I pointed that out in the previous recording. So I believe it takes a little bit over 5 seconds to get to from 0 to 60 miles an hour. You know, that's decently quick, but it's not like, I don't think that's necessarily sports car quick, or even definitely not supercar quick, because I know that the WRX probably does an under 5. But great for a first car. All right, we can turn around here. Or heck, let's just go down this road. This looks exciting. It's so interesting going into boost in this car. Probably into any turbocharged car. Probably with my father's car, it'd be a very similar experience. But I've never really gotten his car to spool up because it's not my car, so I don't want to beat the crap out of it. This is a nice area. Very scenic. It's a lot less repetitive. Oof. than just driving on the highway. This is a nice road. I think I'm gonna have to use this road more often. Oh, look at this. It's got some nice turns in it. This is very pretty. Now, if I remember correctly, I do kind of recognize this road. There's houses up here, and I know that there are families, so I'm going to slow down. So I want to be able to react in case there's a kid in the road. This isn't a bad spot to be. I remember when I first started learning how to drive here, I was driving my grandfather's Mountaineer. Someone had an old Mustang in the grass over here. I wonder if it's still there. Let's have a look. That was years ago, so if it's still there, I'm going to be very, very surprised. I don't see any old muscle cars sitting around. Well, just a couple of trucks. And I think that's a propane tank or some kind of fuel tank. Let's turn around. I really like that road. That was cool. Oh man. Yeah, no Mustang here. Oh well. Speaking of old classic cars, oops. Let's turn traction control back on. I don't think I'm gonna need it off anymore. I went to a place called Gateway Classic Cars yesterday, and it's basically like, from the way I thought, it was like a high-end used car showroom dealer type place, right? So you could go in to look at the cars for fun, but also everything there was for sale. I don't know if everything there was running per se, but everything there was for sale. They had a Lamborghini Countach, which was very cool. I think it was the most expensive thing. It was the most expensive thing there, like $300,000. There were a few other, like, you know, restored muscle cars that were $200K plus and stuff like that. You know, the usual thing you might expect. But what I didn't expect to see were a couple of R32 Skyline GTRs. And so that was an interesting experience for me, because I've never really liked the R32 Skyline that much until now. And I'll tell you why. So with the R32 Skyline, I don't like the look of it very much, at least until now, because I've seen it in person. In person, it looked a lot better, which I wasn't really expecting, but I've had this experience with other cars before. When I've seen a BMW M3 E46 in person before, it looked a lot nicer than I expected it to in person in stock form. I always thought that the only way to really make it look super awesome was to have, like, make it look like a BMW M3 GTR, or have some kind of body kit on or whatever. But it actually looked really cool stock. And so when I saw the R32 Skyline in person, I thought, oh wow, this looks really cool, like, in person. The lines look nice. It looks like a cool tuner car. I was pretty excited to see it. And they were one of the cheaper things at the showroom. You know, they were like, there was one with 94 or 95,000 miles on it with a kind of a shoddy paint job, but that doesn't really matter to me, for about 30 grand, like $31,000. And then there was a really done up one for like 50. And it was just really cool. Another funny thing is that the cars were like really, really small, which is hilarious. Compared to my car, they were really, really tiny. Which I guess makes sense because my car is almost the exact same dimensions as the 3 Series, the current 3 Series, which is a very big car. But I think those cars are like 300 or 400 pounds, you know, lighter than this car, or at least they can be, you know, in stock form, at the curb weight and stuff. But geez, that's I thought that was so interesting. And when I looked on at the interior of the one with the weird paint job, it had a I think an aftermarket steering wheel. I think it was like a Momo steering wheel, and it was so tiny. I thought it was so funny. Like, compared to this steering wheel, it was like this or something. It was so funny. Another thing that was interesting with that car was the transmission, because as you know, the R32 Skyline GTR had a 5-speed, not a 6-speed, and everything after that, I think, or at least the R34, had a 6-speed. The transmission in the R34 is kind of quirky. I want to find a place to stop to kind of talk about that. Give me a second to find a place, and I will pull off the side of the road, and we will talk about why the transmission is weird or special. There are so many open garages. Why do people leave the garages open all the time? God, if I did that, I would be nervous all the time. Because, you know, my car would be in there. There might be a few spare parts. It feels like it'd be like leaving your car unlocked. Let's just park off the side of the road here. So we've got a 6-speed transmission here in my 2015 WRX, right? And so for those of you who don't know, it has a lockout in both the WRX and the WRX STI for going into reverse. I'll turn off the car so that I don't have to worry about the clutch. And so in order to go into reverse, you see pull up on this tab, and that allows you to go in reverse. Otherwise, you would just go into like 6 or something, okay? With the R34 GTR's transmission, not only do you have a reverse lockout, you also have a first lockout. So in order to get into the first, you have to pull up on the tab. And so that, when I first heard about that, I thought that was really weird and kind of dumb. I thought that would make driving really awkward and annoying. But it's about as easy and simple as using the reverse lockout. Like you would get so used to it you wouldn't think about it. So, you know, I'm pulling up at a stop sign first. And then everything else doesn't require it, so, you know, just first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you know, it's fine. Heck, let's even get in the right seat to kind of emulate being in the Skyline. Oh, it's all squishy over here. Ah, heck. Squishy. I wonder if you guys can hear that. Work uniform shirts. Oh, okay. So, imagine there's a steering wheel here. Okay, you got the pedals, clutch, brake, accelerator, steering wheel, shifter. First is like that. So I'm in neutral, pulling up to a stop sign, first. Want to go in reverse? Like that. Not too weird or tricky, but kind of quirky. All right, let's get back into the driver's seat. Oh. Okay, so that was interesting. I just thought that would be a fun thing to quickly talk about at the very least. All right. Oh. I really got to work on my shifting. If I ever want to do any track days in this car or any other car, really got to work on my shifting. Got to make it smoother. Got to eventually learn how to do heel and toe. Because let's say I want to do a downshift on during this turn whilst using the brake. Right now I wouldn't be able to. So I would have to take my foot off the accelerator and off the brake, then do the downshift, and then I can resume everything else as normally. With heel and toe, you can use the brake and downshift at the same time. which can be useful in certain situations. You can avoid them by downshifting and then braking, but that might not always be the most efficient way of doing things. Sometimes it helps to put the car into the wrong gear for a second there. Sometimes it helps to use the brake and shift at the same time. But right now I can't do that